My generation's afraid of opinions. Y'all so intolerant. They're ashamed of themselves because they're privileged and white, or they're black and the opposite. You get charged with harassment for hugging a woman or giving a compliment. Y'all way too sensitive yet, offended to death. Bring all the coffins in. I swear that y'all are mad at everything that don't affect your life. Hey, I swear that y'all believe that being offended just means that you're right. Hey, I swear that y'all just want to be the only ones who everyone lies. Hey, I swear if I swear at you ninnies, you probably so triggered you cry. And nobody wants to be real. Everyone's scared of how everyone feels. We become so ultra sensitive and hyper tolerant that honestly, honesty gonna be illegal. It's crazy y'all get so shocked and bothered from people saying things that aren't responsible. If that seems logical, y'all are weak then. If someone says retard, it ruins your weekend. And that's retarded. My hair been in braids because it looks hella awesome. Y'all like to scream I appropriate culture, but I don't hear nothing. I'm paying homage. Y'all are just trying to get likes on your comments, Googling quotes that are socially conscious, and saying you're woke doesn't make you a prophet. It makes you a liar and stupid obnoxious. Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else. Cause y'all don't wanna with me. Cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they with me. My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet you y'all are stuck with me.
Everybody knows that song, Tom McDonald. Shout out to him. Don't flag my video because I'm giving you free promo. He never does. I used to use this song all the time. Guys, how are you today? It's Memorial Day. We got to celebrate, recognize fallen soldiers, police officers, service members, first responders. You all matter. And everybody knows this close topic for me. I did Military Appreciation Month all month. So happy Memorial Day to you guys. I don't really do shows like this. Audience is the audience, and you just it's the audience, whatever. But today I did a Mata episode, and I was thoroughly disgusted with what I saw. And I'm not saying it was a large amount, but it was enough to catch my attention. Are you gonna do anything for Pride Month? Fuck no. Fuck no. I'm not gay. I don't have anything to celebrate when it comes to them. I don't even celebrate being straight. I just live. But no. I had a guest come on. Shout out to David Cypher. He was an amazing guest to have on. And he actually forced a lot of thought, which is why that show is called Make America Think Again. It's not just for the viewers. I use these things for myself as well. Iron sharpens iron. And I definitely saw things in a different light after talking to him. It makes sense, right? Well, folks in the audience didn't necessarily like what he was saying. Now, this is not the first time I've had a fellow conservative come on, and they've welcomed him with all of them with open arms. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. Go share. You know, you guys shared there, not you guys, but you understand what I'm saying. I'm specifically talking about the viewers, some viewers, not all of you. The comment section was dead. Okay? And the comments that did come through were severely ignorant and tone deaf. I've never been angry, not even angry, just like
disappointed.
Wow. Yeah. Are you serious? He was talking and he made a lot of good points about us not being up to par with the left, which we're not. You know, he said where the Republican Party is lacking in New Jersey and lacking overall. And this is a topic that I'll be discussing all month, the lack of diversity. Not even just, it doesn't have to do anything with color. It's thought, it's lifestyles, it's everything. There's a lack of everything. As soon as he started talking, I saw comments come through. Are you an ex-Democrat? Why do you sound like a liberal? And nothing that he said, it wasn't liberal thought. Just to throw that out there, because I would have said something. I don't hold back. What was the other ones? Are you liberal? You talk like a liberal. just lost me. I'm just like, what do you want? You either want a candidate that has your best intentions at heart and it's willing to show empathy and relate to you at a certain level, or you want a career politician, bro, that's going to tell you what you want to hear, talk real good, and lie to you. Those are your only two options. There's good, there's bad. Which one do you want? I'm telling you, I don't get on here and do shows like this. Ask anybody that watches me. Eric, you've been watching. I don't get on here and talk about the audience. I never do. But
No,
that
in fact,
episode, I couldn't
yeah,
anymore.
I think it's one of those things where I think, generally our audience is, is tuning in because mainly they think they're crazy and they're the only ones with the thought process, right? But we're just trying to put a platform to logic. And unfortunately, not every time you give logic to people, it's not understood 100%. I think that's kind of, it's not about bashing an audience member. It's about saying, hey guys, we got to put the pieces together here.
Yeah.
And we have people in here who, expressed a different opinion, a different viewpoint, a misunderstanding maybe, right? And so I think, that's kind of what we're getting on tonight to clear up the misconceptions, guys. We have things we have to do as conservative people, as Christian people, that requires us to organize. I think that's one of the proper ways to talk about it. So, we have to be willing to have diversity of thought in our group too.
Facts. I needed to come on here and address it because I want people to hold up a mirror to themselves. And I do this. You hold up a mirror to yourself and you ask yourself questions. Where am I in error? Where can I improve? And the lack of diversity, not only in thought, like I said earlier, a choice of lifestyle. Like we'll openly welcome people that are LGBTQ. That's okay. But if you express thought of it, this is what it seems to me. We need to help these people and meet them where they are. Is a total cutoff. No, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Not everybody can do that without an opportunity. You need an opportunity to even make that thing happen. That's a missing ingredient that the left says they're going to give, but never do. So when does the right step in and say, here are these opportunities, show up in the workforce, show up in society, show up in the economy? Where? The only president I seen do that was Donald J. Trump with the Platinum Plan. He offered it to every minority group in the U.S. Outside of that, where are the opportunities? And let me know if I'm way off base here, but
no, I think you're touching on such an important point here, Suni, which is like we have had so many years, like at this point, decades now, right? Not just years, decades of people saying very and incredibly attractive things that no person would, like, no reasonable person would say no to this. Like I'll kind of touch on this. We were talking a little bit about backstage. I was out on vacation here, guys, the last couple of days and spent some time with some friends. And I had a conversation with a friend. We didn't speak on this specifically backstage, but he asked me about a sovereign citizen versus a conservative, and what fundamental differences. We live in a polite society. That was my clear and everlasting answer: is we live in a polite society, and it requires us to. It requires us all to meet each other with the sentiment of "I see you." Like, it doesn't mean that that you can't understand somebody's differences and disagree with them, but like, we need to look at the person we're talking with. We need, and sometimes, to Suni's point, that's in the mirror. We need to look at the person, not the box that they check or the group that they fit in with, or any of those things. We really need to make contact with the individual person, and to that point, meet them where they're at. And we have to have compelling arguments that meet a broader set of requirements. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to be progressive in nature. I think at this point, it's fair to say that a classic Democrat would fall well within the conservative boundaries almost. Like, that's how far the goalposts have been moved. And I'll just real quickly, I'll speak to goalpost moving. That's what progressivism is. It's moving the goalposts continually and effortlessly until they achieve what is ultimately their dream and goal: class separation. And I'm going to use the word fascism because that's the only way to enforce it. So we have to stop. We have to look at people who disagree with us, and we have to say, is there fundamental reasons to disagree? And sometimes there is.
Yeah. David brought up a good point of, I even put my head down. He's like, wait, just listen. He talked about Senator Tim Scott and how Tim Scott went to meet, with George Floyd's family. And automatically we're like, why? You know why? Because George Floyd led, a not so, I'm not even going to call it a perfect life, but he was a career criminal struggling with his vices, his addictions. That doesn't mean that his life mattered any less. And we all can agree to that here. But the fact that conservatives, some, wouldn't even fathom the thought of a conservative leader going to meet with his family, shake his hands and say, I understand you're going through something. How can we help? It's a problem.
I think right now we've got a kind of an example, like Tim Scott, right? I think that's kind of an example. So, I mean, he's met with them. He's kind of changed some of his viewpoints. Now, do I agree with everything he's saying right now?
No.
Absolutely not. But he's a reasonable person, and he reasonably has changed his mind based on a set of circumstances that he can say, I could see why somebody would be that way.
Yep. That's what he did. And it was the responses for me. I was like, why have this response or this reaction to somebody literally being human and literally saying, how can I help you? Because at the end of the day, the only way you sway a vote is to get out there and meet people where they are. We have to get away from, and I'm guilty of this, all right? So it's not just me talking about the audience. You have to meet people where they are. I've had to do that. I've had to completely tailor my message to where I'm going to hold you accountable, but I can also see where you're coming from. Okay, I got you. You want to talk about reparations? Okay,
hey,
prove that you're a nation.
You and I, we have one that we don't see eye to eye. We don't see eye to eye on governor candidate here in California.
Yeah.
I still think Major might be a valid candidate.
Yeah.
You've expressed your reasons why. I've looked into every one of them. Valid. There's points there, but we can agree to disagree, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's the beauty of what we're talking about right now is, guys, we have such an inclusive, like the message that we're all putting out there is live your life and be happy with all of this. It's the most inclusive message I could possibly think of. And so it is, I think it's important to recognize, when we take these comments to heart, they're important to us to know your feedback. And we want to make sure we're not just sitting in an echo chamber talking about, hey, you know what, it's really good to be a conservative and look at all this great feedback in the comment section. Challenge us. If you think that what we're saying is off base, bring me a question or bring me some facts and let's talk about it. Now, I might be passionate in my disagreement or my agreement for both ends. Suni, you're the same way. Like, we have to talk about these things, and then we have to find either common ground or say it's okay. We just
absolutely. We had well, I did a show over the weekend where I talked to I had 4 people with me, 3 people with me, and we sat and talked about Charlemagne the God, his dealings of what he has going on. We talked about culture a bit, and then we got to the topic of police and constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a like a not even a dark turn, but it took a like I'm looking at you sideways, bro, because he said he was a constitutionalist, which is cool. You're a constitutionalist. I got that, bro. See, look.
I mean,
look at this. This is the person who said you just lost a subscriber, and I'm going to show you exactly why somebody was upset. And you guys let me know what you think about this. Now, my husband's active duty. I want to stress that. Okay. My uncles are retired Army vet and Navy vet, Air Force vets. I have veterans all over my family. I can't support an organization who doesn't feel the need to call out disrespect to all fallen heroes defending our freedoms. Now, because I said Kamala Harris's tweet is minuscule on the how do I want to say it? It's like this versus the problems that we're actually facing. It's a tweet.
Can I just broaden that point a little bit, Suni?
Go ahead.
It's a drop in the bucket. What these people, like the fact that Twitter lights up because she sends out a tweet and doesn't acknowledge the troops, everybody should just generally know that that's probably how she's going to be. Like,
Thank you.
We have to look at the totality of the decisions these people are making, the policies they're implementing, and we have to say, is a tweet worth getting out of? This is, to be fair, I'm going to call our own community out. This is what people did to Trump, and it's why he didn't potentially get reelected. It's focusing on the words that their person is saying and not the actions that they're making. This is smoke and mirrors.
Thank you. It doesn't mean that she wasn't disrespectful. It doesn't mean what she 100%. Said wasn't effed up. I said it was tone deaf.
Yeah, it's tone deaf. It's brain dead. It's all of those things. But it's also just that fraction of the big picture.
And she's a lefty. The fact that you don't, like, when are we going to click into that and clue in and stop jumping at stuff? When are we, like, we're going to be just like the left. Oh, you tweeted that. Oh, you tweeted that. I don't like that. The world doesn't care, man. And these people out here struggling with life that we're trying to bring onto our side, they don't give a crap. There are veterans out there that could care less about what Kamala tweeted. Go ask a vet. My husband was like, she tweeted something stupid. He's active duty, bro. Nobody in the military is tripping about what this lady said. She said it.
Not that I can see. Listen, I'm friends. I got friends that are in the Marines down here right now, sitting at Camp Pendleton, and they're tweeting about it and they're throwing it up on their Instagram, like saying, this is ridiculous, this is crazy. But let's not get lost on the point here, guys. They're trying to change the way we do military here. They're trying to change the way we think. They're trying to force us to do things medically that we ain't about. So, again, it's words, not policy. And it's in that sense, yeah, it's terrible that she's not acknowledging the realities of fallen life. But again, I will point to, it's a propaganda campaign. If you really want to understand what it is, this is propaganda 101. Send out a red herring that makes people go crazy.
Yep.
And then ignore the nonsense and then institute whatever policy you want. Like, that's what, in my opinion, is closer to the reality.
Doing.
Yeah, to me, that's closer to the reality than actual disrespect because of a tweet. They're disrespecting our military every day. They're instituting policies that change the way that they fight, train, understand, learn, tactical work. They're feminizing the entire culture of the military. That scares the hell out of me as a citizen of a country that relies on our military, force to maintain our freedoms. We talked about in the show, I think last week, Suni, women's roles and men's roles are very different. And if we're going to take them down to the biological level, a man's job is to go out and protect. Mm-hmm. And you don't get more men protecting the country by feminizing the military.
You don't.
and that's that distraction. When you have a female leader tweeting out in a disrespectful way, stop looking at the tweet, look at the policy, and question whether that person is fit for duty.
Thank you. And she's a Democrat, man. They don't appreciate the military. It's almost like exactly what is going to happen once they get in office. We know. Now, 4 hours ago, she put out a tweet to cover her butt. I'm gonna show both tweets, but I'm trying to really show how ridiculous, okay, people are being. If you're gonna unfollow and stop supporting a group because of a simple opinion of, is this really that important? versus the things that we face every day as American citizens. Is this tweet going to make or break this country? Ask yourself that. Everybody right now, I want to see the comment section light up. Is it going to make or break America? Kamala Harris put out a disrespectful, tone-deaf tweet. Are we going to fall apart? Now, other politicians are going to hop on this. Number one, they want to stay in the public eye. They want to keep your vote. And they know this is a very reactive society. You say one thing, people are like, I'm going to jump on that and attack you.
The clout chase is real. It's
Come
real.
on, man.
Like I said, these people are clout chasing. And right now in our culture, we've moved very swiftly away from logic and understanding into whatever media I can get on is going to get my face out there, and that recognition is going to get me elected. And so if you're the guy who's going to call out the mean tweet, guess what? You're going to be the next trending topic on Twitter. So like, we got to look at what's the difference between a policy and a clout chase. And this is clout chasing.
It was. This is what people are reacting over. Thank you. America is falling apart with or without that tweet. So whether she tweeted it or didn't tweet it, we would still be in the same situation that we're in. As long as you are acknowledging soldiers, as long as the people that you support acknowledge Memorial Day and what it stands for, she could really, who gives a flying fuck about this lady? I can't tell you the last thing she's actually done because that's how much attention I don't pay to her. I don't. We need to do a better job of actually relating to people, waking them up to what's actually going on, and being reactive to a tweet that these people support is not going to do anything but put them on a defense even more. Just like really think about it. Please, for 2 seconds, think about it.
Something occurred to me as you said that, Suni, and I'm going to have to go back and do my homework on this one, guys. So bear with me because it's a little bit of a stretch here, but a trend that I have seen, and I'm going to call it a trend just because it's an observation at this point. Trend to me, not necessarily a fact, but I'm going to do my homework and come back to you guys with this. But if I feel like they use her platform to distract, and so to your point, you're not following her, you're not watching closely. I got to be honest with you, they're not looking either. And every time something comes up that looks bad as a PR, suddenly she's in the news again, some controversial topic, and quickly the narrative is right back where they intentionally want it to be. So, to the broader point of people in the comment section not understanding, like we want to make sure that we're including everybody, because the only way to get out of this logic bind, and I'll use Russo's term, we got to use some blunt force logic on people right now. And it is important that we don't get caught in the minutia of a tweet. It's free speech. At the end of the day, if you don't like it, just tune out. Like that's a fair thing to say. Is she a leader of a country and should do better and should be better? I think everybody agrees on that level. But
yes.
We can't sit here and get lost in every little detail on Twitter. I mean, the amount of space that she's taking up rent free in people's mind is, man, I wish I owned that many buildings, because God knows I'd be Bezos rich at this point. So, we have to move away from that logic, and we have to stay on the logic that paints a picture of a brighter future, one that we can attain and isn't distraction techniques all the way through.
Right. I would think for me, when I was paying attention to what she was doing, talking to world leaders infuriated me more than a stupid tweet. I'm like, oh, so you're going to replace the president and the president's not talking to world leaders? Oh, so we got a woman. We have a woman representing America. Oh, we're screwed. That grinded my gears even more. And I didn't even, do you know how many conservatives didn't even react to it? Didn't say a word? Zilch, nada.
Goose eggs.
I'm just saying, I'm a military spouse. These things are important to me. I highlighted the military all month. But this tweet is, number one, a distraction. It's divisive because people are going to start fighting over this, and it doesn't need to happen. Let Heels Up Harris tweet away.
Mm-hmm. I think if I see the comment section. Some people are lighting up again about this. It's in the public eye. Absolutely, it is. And does it disdain the culture? It factually, yes, actually, it does. But the amount of damage that this is like, I'll put it this way. This is you've got mold in your house, okay, and we have a moldy house right now, right? But the only thing you're going to do is put paint over the mold. That's essentially what I see in the comment section right now from people is well, it's in the public eye. Well, guess what? These people's policies are also in the public eye, and more importantly, in the international public eye, right? So Memorial Day is very sacred to us and to some of our allies, but to the other, let's just call it what it is, 3/4 of the world at this point, that day didn't matter to them. It was not important. They don't see they don't see anything wrong with enjoy your holiday. So if people think that around the world that this is going to degrade what has already been the most degrading regime that we've had in our country, then we've missed the mark. We gotta talk about policies instead of tweets, guys. And I'll just refer back to what I said earlier. This is where they hung their hats on the fact that they were able to essentially deny a re-election to a president who, by all accounts, statistically was going to make that cut by focusing on the tweets. Now, it's an effective tool, I guess, if you're trying to pivot the campaign every 4 years. Sure, maybe there's space for that to be had. But if we're going to talk about fundamental change of this country to the point where we all are in a place where we can say, I can live my life freely, I can go about my business, I can create opportunities for myself, my family, and others. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, guys. That's the important parts, and that's the policy that they're attacking. So a tweet, drop in the bucket.
That's it. I had to address that because it was really just the response to from people when you say, and it's not even like I want everybody to agree with me, because I don't. I say that all the time. I don't want you to agree with me. I want open conversation. But when you openly put somebody down because they don't talk like a conservative, not necessarily sure what talking like a conservative is, but okay. And you're saying something different than most conservatives say, don't attack them, because you could very well be attacking the blessing that you're looking for. You're going to turn it away. Everything doesn't look, sound, feel the same. Yes, there is a standard. Absolutely. But we're talking about meeting people where they are. And I'm sorry. Kamala's tweet isn't reaching the people that we need to reach. They could care less. And if you want to unfollow me because I don't give a crap about her tweet, I know what I celebrate, I know what I believe in, I know what matters to me, then unfollow me. And that's perfectly fine. I would rather not have you here anyway, because you're completely intolerant while saying that you're tolerant.
I'm going to challenge everybody out there who feels like that there's controversy in being more inclusive. Go out and start applying that logic to your personal life, and let's see how many interactions you really get. You go treat people like that in real life, you're gonna have a different response. So again, the internet, you can go buck wild in it. I don't think at the end of the day, what Suni's saying is we don't have a problem with disagreement. In fact, we encourage disagreement. We encourage getting down to the brass tacks of why do we think differently, and it's a respect issue. And what we want to know from people is are we meeting the expectation of creating an opportunity not to have that echo chamber, because we have too many of those. Fox News, I mean, I'm gonna call it what is that, mainstream media. You got Fox who's gonna always perpetuate this large corporation conservative viewpoint, right? Some of the things I can really get on board with, some of them, man, I'm like, this is just as equally as a propaganda network as CNN or MSNBC or any one of these people on the other side of the aisle. And we got to pay attention to the people more than the media. And that's one of the things that that's why we're engaging you on this level, guys, is because it really is grassroots. You can't you can go out there and you can speak to 1 million people on the nightly news. There's no personal connection. You guys want to touch base with us? Send an email, put it in the comments. I mean, you know where to find us. We want to have this dialogue with everyone, not just people who agree with us. And if you disagree with us, we would just like to come to the table with I use the term of cite your sources. Make sure you come with your bibliography, basically, right? Of here's when I saw it, here's what I read about it, here's the facts around the situation. Cite your sources, right? But at the end of the day, it's okay to come with just an opinion too, because we can work with all of those things. It's about getting down to that brass tacks and finding the clarity between what you want and what I want, and the quickest route to those things. And I'll just address the comments one more time, which is, guys, everybody who wants to unfollow us and not participate, you're good. Anybody who would want to unfollow, shout it out, put it out there. See if people agree that unfollowing is the right way to create more thought processes. It's just, I'll be upfront. It's not, but it's a good trick to try.
Yes. And I'm gonna sum that part of the show up. This comment right here says exactly what I'm trying to get across and what I'm trying to get everybody else to see. This tweet shows the lack of empathy, the lack of care. It shows it all by itself without us being reactionary and freaking out and going off. Oh, you don't think the way I do? Oh, you don't think it's a big deal like I do? Oh, I'm unfollowing you. Come on.
So Suni, you got kids, I've got kids. One of the biggest things that I see is a problem right now is we got a lot of adult kids. And so like with my daughter, right, she takes a spill on the stairs, or she's running around and, eats shit, running through the hallway and slips on a rug. The very first thing she looks to is who's reacting, like what's dad look like, or what's mom look like. And if you keep a straight face, guess what? I'd say like 8, maybe 9 times out of 10, unless there's blood, so does your kid. But if you're like, and my point in saying that is just to relate this, right? If we're gonna get all of like this about a tweet, well, then of course the world is, we're just being childish. So I would just encourage everybody. It's okay. In fact, it highlights the point sometimes to not speak on it. If she had just put the tweet out there and nobody had commented on it, a week from now, guess what? Then there's a traction for a story, because now it's like, look, she put it in the rear view. She didn't think about it. She's so inept that there is no comeback from this. How many more people would look at that and be like, well, yeah, but she's getting attacked on Twitter. And so, look at all you rude conservatives. Guys, they wanted this talking point.
Yep. And they achieved it. So let's do better, guys. Let's self-reflect and see where we can grow as people, because we're always growing. The world is your library. And let's get back on track, because at the end of the day, my entire goal is to make America think again. I just want people to think. And of course, I've been talking about BLM since BLM's existence. The co-founder who quit, she quit because she couldn't answer where her finances were coming from. It was getting too hot. And she said, I think I want to focus on TV and book deals, but I thought Black Lives Matter. Well, you know how BLM said they're standing with Palestine, right? Well, this is in 2015. She came out with a statement, and I'm gonna let you guys hear it. So you can. This is what happens when you don't react to something, because nobody knew this existed, and then somebody pulls it out of the hat, and they're like, "Look, this is Patrisse Cullors. What is she saying? Oh, okay." And then you have people that look at her crazy, like, "But that ain't what you said, bro. You said this. You said this 3 years ago, and we supported you for how long? What's happening?"
Actions always. The other thing I'll say is Palestine is our generation South Africa. And if we don't step up boldly and courageously to end the imperialist project that's called Israel, we're doomed. Actions always. The other thing I'll say is
Yo, these people. Guys, I said this the other night, right? And I'm not into the conspiracy stuff. I got to be honest with you. Some of it's way off the charts. There's no lizard people walking around. Like, this stuff is crazy. But conspiracies are born typically off of people trying to fill in the gaps where stuff does not make sense. Okay. And this is a situation where there's no conspiracy around it. It's just truth. Nobody knows where the finances of this company are going. There is no conspiracy about that. So I just want to point that out, because I think some of the things you're about to hear will prove a point. This is Marxism, and this is the end goal.
Gosh. So she called for the end of Israel in 2015, and she's supporting. Now, all the people in Palestine know they're not terrorists, but Hamas is. And they're just like we are here in the US. We are pawns in their game. We are pawns in their game, dude.
Yeah, one of the important things that did not get picked up by the media, guys, and I encourage everybody to go do a little Google research on this. They shot down a drone over Israel when this conflict was happening. Hamas does not have the capabilities for drone attacks, but Iran does. And I want to draw a very clear line here. We entered the I'm going to Google it real quick so I can get this correct. Okay. Because this is important to understand.
Excuse me.
I'm just trying to find out what day it was renewed here real quick. In essence, guys, what happened here is that we had been out of the Iran deal since, I want to say it was 2017. Trump put the kibosh on it right after he came into office. Said we're pulling out of this immediately. And in essence, that put them in a position where they were sanctioned around the world to a degree where they were not North Korea isolated, but starting to head down that path. Okay. And so they went to China for resources, money, weapons, all sorts of, and the facilitator of those deals was Russia. Okay. And so that was the reason why we pulled away, is because all of that became very apparent. Now, there's all the story of, the plane flew over in the middle of the dead of night, dropped $1 billion in unmarked bills. That story happens to be true, but it's kind of convoluted as to the reasons why. And I'll just point this out. Okay. So when we entered back into the Iranian deal, I think this is back in February is officially when we announced our intention to go back into it, but we have finalized and are now giving funds actively at this point to Iran. The problem with that is not so much Iran as a country itself. It's the Ayatollah, who is the group that essentially they are the oligarchy, is akin to what we have in Russia, where you have a president, or I guess a dictator at this point, as we can all agree on. But the point being is that Iran directly funds Hamas. Hamas is the group that the Iranians use to go out and poke the bear, okay? Because they don't want to get shot themselves. So they send out somebody else, and it's Hamas. They fund them predominantly because they have money flowing in from the United States. They don't have that money any other way. And so that's why for the last 4 or so years, you haven't seen them lob missiles across the border from Gaza and into Israel, is because they have not had the money to do the purchases of the arms deals that are made in Iran through Russia, facilitated by China. This is a global affair. And so when people want to talk, the logistics of things, it was February when we stated our intentions to go back into the Iran nuclear deal. It was March when money started flowing, and by May you have full-on conflict in the Strip. It is of the utmost importance to understand where that money actually ended up. Now, whether our dollars were spent on missiles to lob over, I can't speak to that. But I can speak to the fact that Iran did not have the funding to provide those kinds of resources prior to us re-entering the nuclear deal with them, correct?
Absolutely.
So I just want to point that out, because we talk so much about what's going on here at home that sometimes we lose sight of how many forces are trying to impact us here at home. And so these groups like Black Lives Matter, who are saying, I understand the Palestinian struggle, I'm going to call it what it is. You said it the other night, Suni, you're going to have to call people out when they're taking people's stories and applying it. This is stolen valor. This is another example of people identifying, taking on, and wearing the emotions on their arm sleeves that they've never felt before. And so what do they do with it? React like children.
Facts, man. You summed it up. All these things are happening, and it creates conflict here, and it's literally to bring America to its knees. We are what keep this country going. And when we fall apart, I think his name is Chris Webby. I was listening to his song today. It's called Raw Thoughts. Yo, they got us all fighting, and they are doing their deals. They're doing whatever they need to do to retain control of all of us. And we're worried about tweets.
100%.
Come on, guys. You mentioned China, and China's in. Why is our government so comfy and cozy with China? China says, since China is in the middle of all of this, hey, we're gonna allow couples to have 3 children now instead of 2.
Shout out Chris Webby.
Go listen to that song, please. It's a dope song.
Throw on Chris Webby if you're having a day, because this dude knows it all.
So they can have 3 kids instead of 2.
Yep.
Your government is telling you how many kids you can have, and our government is like, oh, don't worry about China. And China's like, America, I'm about to take that bitch over.
So one of the things, Suni, they were starting to talk about it in the video you were playing. I don't know if you heard specifically what she said, but she talked about South Africa, and I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is part of the geopolitical conflict. China owns most of the eastern seaboard of Africa at this point, from a financial backing standpoint, and ultimately we know that they have had tremendous sway in their political regime changes. So to speak to China is to understand their plan for world domination, and it's not a pretty thing. But while we're sitting over here, and I'll say it because we're talking about children here, while we're telling people to go have abortions and that's cool, they're sitting over there saying, you need to have more kids. And guys, that's a simple logic. If we're going to have less babies and they're going to have more.
What's happening? Drum roll, you guys ready? The New World Order.
I was afraid to say it, but here it is.
That's their ultimate goal. And we are playing right into it because this country is feelings based. And I said this a few shows ago. I did a show on it. Feelings are destroying America. I need you guys to think Having a worldview of everything and how it relates to your country is going to show you exactly where America is. You won't be so offended and bothered by all these things that don't really matter. You will have your attention based on things rooted in fact. Then you can go carry those conversations with people that don't necessarily understand and break it down to them at a basic human level where they can understand. Oh, so I'm going to be affected as an American citizen no matter what class I'm in. Absolutely. That's the raw deal of it.
It is. It's so crazy to me. Like I think liberal media leaned into to this comment that Lianya. I apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly. She makes a very important point, which is they leaned into these Trump tweets, right? And we kind of started the show that way. This, guys, is their bread and butter. If they can keep us on this task, policy is advancing while your eyes are being distracted to Twitter. Like, this is, they've introduced $6 trillion worth of legislation in the last week. How many of us have heard about that? And you're right. We're paying attention, but it's as they, this is what I'm saying, when they do something that is so crazy. Remember, the Green New Deal was never going to be a thing. Let's talk about how much they've introduced. $4 trillion, excuse me, already. They've introduced another $6 trillion coming down the pipeline. Ocasio-Cortez was saying this was going to cost $20 trillion, and everybody thought there was no way that anybody would ever potentially vote their way down that road. Well, so far, we're looking like we're going to be into it somewhere around $5 trillion, with another 6 lined up. So that puts us at 11. That's slightly over halfway to your goal. And at this point, they may pull the filibuster, in which case they're going to get it all. So
absolutely,
we have to understand, guys, that what they're telling us, your lying eyes are not lying. What's happening is real. It's happening in real time as you see it. And these distractions of comments, and you think like a leftist, and I don't agree with you. Well, you know what? We got bigger problems. I agree to disagree about the problem at hand right now. This tweet is not the problem. The policies are.
Yes. I'm glad we did this show, because I think this is probably one of the most important shows that I've done. Because people need to think. You need to think about where we are and stop saying the impossible is not possible. They have everybody where they need them. This is where 22 comes into effect, and that the fact that you're saying 22 doesn't matter until we fix 20 is exactly what they want you to do. And we're playing right into it. Why do you think they keep talking about voter laws? Why do you think they keep going against the grain with everything when actually states are pushing to fix these things? Why? 22
so I'll relate
is
it.
Important.
It's so important. It is so important. There's something that I've learned in my personal business life, which is you can't go back and necessarily fix every mistake. Like, you just have to live to take the L, right? Like, you can spend a bunch of money on an idea that you think is a tremendous idea. You can market it until the cows come home, and it could explode in your face. Does that mean that you're not going to be successful? Only if you stop trying, right? So there's a level of perseverance that we all have to have as just Americans. Like, that is an enduring spirit that should be baked into you. And if it's not, you should be going back to your parents and your teachers and everybody who's ever been an influence in your life and saying, why didn't we talk about our country being the last safe haven for freedom? Why didn't we talk about, well, what happens if it falls here? Like, these are the most important questions. And anybody out there with kids right now, you know what these schools are trying to do. They're trying to break up your family by creating kids who disagree with their parents. They're trying to make it impossible for you to get involved. And they're going to tell them sick lies about you in order to try and push you in a direction you would never go otherwise. They've already put I'm going to slap a racist label on you if I disagree. They've already put if I think your life is worth destroying, I'll dox you. They are going to all ends. We don't have to go as far as them, but we don't have to let them go as far as they go either. Remember, I'll relate this to castle doctrine, right? What happens in my house is my problem because it's my castle. And the law respects that. Okay. Whether that be for self-protection, for Fourth Amendment rights, all of these things apply to castle doctrine. And so I would recommend everybody remember that we're in a country. This is our castle, and there are people trying to invade it, whether that's through an ideology or through a culture shift. It's all happening on our watch. What are we going to do about it? Me and Sunni, we're here tonight discussing it. And I'll put a challenge out to everybody that's going to watch this and that is watching it, that's in the comment section, anywhere else, Facebook, wherever you're catching this at. Go out and do something to show that you aren't stagnant. It is so important. Sunni and I were talking backstage before we jumped on here. I went up, I spent this last weekend with my friends, and it was incredible the amount of people who I've known my whole life, who I align with in almost every aspect, and how divided even we are. That I had some sit down conversations in the last 4 days that were very interesting. And it was all, at the end of the day, the only thing they could plead was complete ignorance. And we don't have to be ignorant people. We can be informed, we can be educated, we can agree to disagree. And that's the important part of life that we're missing, I think, in the political discourse.
Facts. Well, guys, happy Memorial Day. I'm going to get out of your hair. I hope you share this video. I hope you've hit the thumbs up on it. And if you're new here, please subscribe to get more content like this. We're going to keep Cash's page going. My channel is blowing up, so I'm so appreciative to everybody that tunes in. I just want to drive this point home that we have to get back on our squares. We've fallen off, and it's okay to acknowledge that as long as you get back up and you try again. And I just want people to think, take a real look at what's happening and figure out where you align. I bet you will be more. A lot of us are right leaning and smack dead in the middle. We're smack dead in the middle. I have radical views when it comes to just being America first. And I don't even think those are radical views. I think they're just common sense.
Patriotic.
1.1 is 2. But I just want people to think. And that's it. If you don't do anything else, if you don't take anything else from these shows, even if you just want to challenge me on all these thoughts, challenge me. That'd be even better. Because then you could come on here and have an actual conversation. So I'm going to close the show out with a tribute video that I found. This is probably one of my favorites. And I hope you guys have a great day. Is it Monday there? It is Monday there.
It is, yeah. Yep, it's Monday.
Okay,
right now.
Well, it's not even a weekend for you guys anymore. Have a great Monday. I'm out of here.
If it's cool, I'll just say,
Go ahead.
guys, keep it up. We love this interaction. We love what we're doing here. We enjoy it. We do it for you. We do it for us. We do it for the people that aren't even watching right now. Each one of you has the opportunity to go out there and do something great. Try it today. Try it tomorrow. Try it sometime this week. If you don't have the courage, find it. We can do this.
Facts, man. You guys have a good one.